Alrighty, let's do it. G'day guys, welcome once again to the tripod. This week, or today, we'll be breaking down State of Origin Game 1. Just be a quicker pod. We've gone through Origin in a previous pod just quickly, so today we'll be giving out our thoughts on Origin Game 1, and we're going to be there as well at Suncorp tomorrow night, so in which should be an absolutely cracking game. First things first, make sure you download the Tripod app. All our tips are posted there for free, and we will be posting if we have any more Origin plays. We definitely will have more Origin plays tomorrow morning. We'll be posting those up in the app tomorrow morning. We'll have first try scorer, stuff like that. We've picked the last 3 first try scorers in the Origin, so we're going for 4 in a row. And make sure you're in the group. There'll be game threads and stuff like that going on. Tripod Punters Tips Forum on Facebook. Jacob, how are you, buddy?
I am fantastic. One more sleep till Origin. It is exciting. It's exciting too that we've got our hands on a couple of free tickets too. So you've got to be in our group, and we're going to figure out a way to give those away tonight or tomorrow morning if you have an opportunity to get to the game.
True.
If you're in town, we've got those tickets. We should say we hit a 28-1 French Open multi. You, the former pro tennis player, and there's tips on everything. Cricket World Cup, NBA. But it's all about Origin right now. We put up the graphic that we went 66% on 30 Origin best bets last year. Yep. And that was even after we kind of were tipping Queensland to cover in Game 1 and it didn't work out. We still made a lot of money in Origin last year. You go back to 2017, we picked all 3 games correctly. Even 2016, you go back and we posted all of our previous best bets, and you can look at the whole list. We've been on New South Wales in their dominant wins. We've been on Queensland in their dominant wins. We've lost one close one, but we've picked Origin pretty well. We're going to break it down. We're going to keep it sharp. We have picked Queensland in Game 1, just to put that out there. And we've already shared some best bets on that, but you can recap those. But I do want to say we will try and be as unbiased as possible. It's always hard with Origin because we love our footy, and of course we love Queensland being from north of the border. But when we share our Origin tips, I feel like there's always half the people watching and not happy with us and get pissed off. Whether we're going for Queensland and you're just going for your state, or whether you're going, if we go against Queensland, we're not loyal. But look, we just give out best bets the way we see it, and the record's there to, for all people to see.
Absolutely.
And we should also say we've already discussed selections, pre-selection. We did a whole pod on that. You can find that on this feed and in our pods. And we also talked about selection recap, like once the teams were named last Monday. We spoke a little bit on our Wednesday pod about what we thought. This is going to be more diving into the key matchups tomorrow night.
Yes, indeed. And let me just throw up. Should I be throwing up all the bets that we have on now,
sure,
I guess?
Why don't we start with what we've already shared?
Early plays. So I'll throw up what we've already shared. You guys can see that. And yeah, like I said, these are the bets that we gave out last Monday.
Morning of selections.
Yeah, exactly. So a little over a week ago. I guess I can read them out for you. We got Queensland plus 2.5 points in the game. We had Queensland plus 1 in the first half. We had Queensland winning at halftime or full time. Queensland plus 1 in the second half, and Queensland plus half a try. And I guess, a lot of you guys that weren't watching our pod or didn't get those best bets will probably be complaining right now because a lot of those best bets are now gone. And it's no surprise, really. I know a lot of people always complain, we couldn't get on the best bets, whatever, if they moved quickly. But the reason that these ones have moved, obviously, is because Queensland were 2.5 point underdogs. They've come in to nearly pick them now. And this is kind of what you said, Jacob, on the pod when we did it, is you said, you could expect Queensland to be pick 'em or even possibly slight favourites come game day. And that's certainly the way the line's trending at the moment.
Yeah, and it seems like the bookies just opened it with the simple feelings that New South Wales won the series last year. There's no, Billy Slater. If anything, the old brigade is out. New South Wales, if anything, only getting better. And they're the better team, so they should be favourites. But they seem to just disregard how strong home field advantage can be for one, and the emergence of some star players. And we're going to talk about guys, but off the top, obviously your Pongers and your Munster, compared to a couple of the star players in New South Wales who aren't necessarily in form, or there's question marks, and we'll get to that too. And for a lot of reasons that we did outline last time, we felt that even if you think that New South Wales is slightly better, at Suncorp, where Queensland wins more than 2 out of 3, they still don't deserve to be favourites in this game. That's why we grabbed all those best bets. And of the best bets that are on the screen right now, the only one that's still paying over $1.80 is Queensland plus 1 first half. That's $1.83 on BetEasy. I'd suggest if you didn't get any of these, that is still a very good bet. And I suggested if you bet on that, they'll bump it down again because they shat themselves last week and dropped it 30 cents.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that one was sitting at $1.67 after we gave it out. Obviously, everyone smashed it. and then for some weird reason they've bumped it back up to $1.83, which, like you said, is still a very good bet. I can probably take that off the screen for now. What do you reckon, Jacob? I'll take that graphic off the screen.
And look, we're going to break it down kind of position group by position group where we see the key matchups or the key advantages and key factors. But just a general point, I just thought should we say the N word or should we say the B word on this pod? Because, Kevvy's got his new mandate. I'm talking about the N word as in New South Wales or B word as in Blues. It's been in the news a lot.
Jesus Christ.
The coach whisperer. And I at first I thought I like this. I got chills watching his press conference. He's bloody speaking it into existence. He's saying we will win game 1.
I thought it was fucking weird. All right, Jacob.
Yeah,
before
you said it was weird.
Before you keep talking, I know that last time we had this issue where you froze. So you got to do what you did last time after the pod to unfreeze yourself.
Okay, we'll try it now.
I can still hear you though. But yeah, I'll go on what Kevvy Walters. Jacob actually sent me the press conference. You're good now. And Jacob's like, watch this. He's speaking it into existence. I actually thought it was fucking weird, to be honest with you. I understand he kept saying he's trying to, like you said, speaking into existence, we are going to win. We will win game 1, all this shit. And he's like deflecting any sort of question on New South Wales. I don't know. I thought it was a little bit cringeworthy and a little bit strange. And I don't know if that is necessarily going to bump the percentage chance of Queensland winning game 1.
If you're concerned, you'd say, do the players think it's weird? And they've asked a few of the players, and a few of the players do cringe a little bit. And the other thing is, has it affected their preparation? The players are worried about getting fined. The players aren't allowed to mention, key opponent names in the opposition. I hope that it doesn't affect their preparation. But I just like the idea that he's telling his team, you're not the underdogs. You're not going out there expecting anything other than to lose. You shouldn't be conceding a try in the back of your head going, oh, well, New South Wales are better than us now. New South Wales were favourite to win this. I like the fact that he's laying down the gauntlet. At the end of the day, everyone judges the decisions on the result. And it's the same with our best 100%. Bets. People don't judge our best bets we've given out, which I know right now are great bets because all of their prices have dropped. People will judge those bets on what happens tomorrow night.
Oh, exactly.
And it's like Freddie with his yoga and his earthing. Oh, New South Wales won last year, so it worked. But had they lost, people would say it was stupid, it was bullshit, and they needed to focus on
and the funny thing is, that's even that's, I guess, a little bit easy to say that's, the yoga didn't work or whatever. But even with some of our best bets, we'll get plus 2.5, they close pick 'em, they lose, and people will still say it's a shit bet. Which, I mean, long term, like I've said 100 times, if you're getting a price that is beating the closing number, you're going to win long term. I got to duck out of here in about 15 minutes. Jacob, hit me.
Okay, well, let's start with the outside backs, and I'll tell you that I do give a small edge to New South Wales. But look, you look at the teams last year when New South Wales
before you go, I had a question written down here for 2 of the key positions, I guess, and I was going to ask you, are we sure that the New South Wales Blues outside backs are better than Queensland? Are we sure?
I'll make the case, and it's more about the limitations of the Queensland side. But let's look at New South Wales. Look, that back line struck fear. I'm talking 1 to 5 into Queensland Hearts last year. But I'll tell you now, if you watch that series closely, 3 outside backs for New South Wales were outstanding. 3 of them. And it was Teddy, it was Latrell, and it was Turbo. Those 3 were outstanding. Now, you look now, Teddy's going to bring the same. He is still as good as anyone in the game. Latrell, that's a big question mark to me. We know he tweaked his groin against the Raiders in Magic Round. We know he hasn't dominated since. And, of course, there's this video leak that, could be in his head too, and that's a whole nother topic. So, could he dominate? Could he destroy Will Chambers? Maybe, but he did last year. And if anything, as good as he started the season, that's got to be a concern for New South Wales. And, of course, Turbo's not there. Now, I think they've made a decent replacement in Nick Kotrick. And, look, Addo Carr and Jimmy the Jet, who one of those guys was is not there this year, but both were there last year. Everyone thought their speed was going to be way too much for Queensland to handle. Origin is not an open NRL game played on a sunny afternoon. Addo Carr barely got into open space last year, and he's not the biggest winger. There's actually times when you'd rather have a powerful winger like a Corey Oates or a tall winger who can snatch a bomb. So, as much as people think they blow Queensland off the park with pace, there aren't the same gaps. And, now they've brought a guy like Josh Morris, a totally different dynamic where you're going for defense. And to me, that matchup there, the New South Wales right side where you've got Frizzell, but then Morris and Kotrick, how they shape up against Munster, who drifts left, Ponga, Michael Morgan, and Oates is the key. And obviously they've picked Morris to try and shore that up. That's a huge matchup. For Queensland, look, I think Oates has brought his game to another level this year, and of course Ponga, all eyes are on him as a superstar. He showed he belonged last year. You can say Morgan, Chambers, and Gagai are experienced, but for me, none of those guys are superstars. And of course, they're going to have a bloody tough time on the right side, or New South Wales right side attack with Teddy chiming in, but also the New South Wales left side attack with Cody Walker linking up with Latrell and Addo Carr. So I still overall have to give a minor edge to New South Wales outside backs.
Corey Oates is like the perfect winger for Origin. He's big, he's strong. When it fucking gets to it, you can throw up a bomb, because it's not often that you're like putting in super attacking kicks, because generally the defense shores up, so you're kicking the ball, from 40 out rather than 20 out like in regular season games. But he is the perfect winger, can help take hit-ups early in the sets for Queensland. But yeah, you're right. Gagai, Michael Morgan, and Chambers are all, they've been there before, but they're not setting the world alight, that's for sure. But then I look at New South Wales. Yes, Nick Kotrick is an absolute beast for the Raiders. But once again, his first Origin, will the stage overwhelm him? Some people it does, some people it doesn't. I understand it's exactly the same for Kalen Ponga, and that's a big if. But like you said, you've got Addo Carr, who's one of the best in the biz, but Origin is a different beast. You don't get, open spread field plays like you do in the regular season game. And like you said last year, he barely got free. And I think that's going to be a similar sort of story here. We've got a total that's 33.5. That's the lowest total that you'll ever see all year for an NRL game. It's 10 points lower than some of the games, so that it's expected to be tight. Defense is going to step up. Josh Morris is the big if here. I mean, really, I understand that they've got him for defense, but he's not at the peak of his powers anymore. He is getting on, and honestly, if he's going to break it in attack, then fuck me. Then too good. But dead set, he is not the best guy to have there, that's for sure. And even and even Latrell, I understand that he's, an outstanding talent. But like you said, all this fucking sex tape shit going on at the moment, it can only be a distraction. There's no way that he's going to wake up and be like, all right, I'm going to fucking prove these fuckers wrong. There's one thing that I know, that can only deteriorate his performance for this one. And Kalen Ponga can match it with Teddy, I think. I don't know. We don't know how he's going to play, obviously, in his first Origin, etc. But I think he's known that he's had this spot for a while now. We know what Teddy's going to do, but I think Kalen Ponga can match it with him.
And I still have to give the edge to Teddy if you're going to ask me who's the better player right now. And look, it was pretty dirty pull by whoever
Ceiling-wise, Ponga can totally get there. But I guess you trust Teddy more just because he's done it more times and for longer, and he's been there before.
Yeah, people better not fool themselves into thinking that Ponga's going to, clearly win that matchup. Dirty pull by whoever did release that video, and we're just speculating if it is Latrell Mitchell. But to release it exactly at that time, that was a pretty dirty pull by whoever did it.
Great time.
Yes, you can say that. Let's move to the halves. And look, I'll
ask you the exact same question. Are you sure that the New South Wales halves are better? Because I'm not.
I don't think anyone's saying New South Wales actually has the better halves, and I'm not. Look at Cleary. We said we wouldn't have picked him. And the dirty secret of 2018, Nathan Cleary was not great. Kicked a couple goals, made a couple of great tackles, held his own, didn't muck up. They won the series, and everyone said he was amazing. He wasn't, and if they'd lost game 2, which they easily could have, he definitely wouldn't be getting picked right now. He's your safe option. If you've got the far better team, he won't miss tackles, he kicks well, and he kicks goals well. But if you need to win the game, on the road, and you need a brilliant playmaker, I would have gone with Adam Reynolds once they knew he was clear of that injury. So
100%.
I think that's a weakness. Walker, again, he's been feasting on some lazy defenders, taking, advantage of gaps, some things that aren't going to be there for him tomorrow. So I'd be cautious assuming Cody Walker will tear up tomorrow just because he's been tearing up in the NRL. I really have more faith a guy like Munster will tear up because I think he's as good as it gets of any playmaker in the game. I think it was a big loss by New South Wales to not get Keary. Munster's got all the tricks. He's improved his kicking game. The passing game's there, breaking tackles, former fullback. I think he's the key. And for DCE, a guy who you famously picked for Clive Churchill medal in 2013 grand final, I think it was, and also you picked the Roosters to win the same game. And of course, we picked Cherry Evans to be man of the match in game 3 last year, and we were right. He was man of the match.
Yeah,
the only problem was that already engraved Billy Slater's name on it, so we didn't get our 21-1 on that. I give the edge to the Queensland halves.
I do too. Munster is playing some of his best footy that he has. The only question I have, if Cherry Evans is healthy, I definitely think that the Queensland halves are better, and I think they complement each other great. Munster's that ball playing half, and Cherry's just solid. For in-game kicking, there is no one better. And you know what I fucking hate more than anything? Someone that kicks for touch and they make like 10 meters. That is not Cherry Evans. This bloke is going to make 40 meters when they get a penalty, and I love that, especially when in Origin when yards are so hard to come by. And I agree. They've probably got. I mean, obviously New South Wales got a little bit unlucky with their halves, with Keary going down, and then I guess Reynolds kind of went down as well. But I think
Pearce in there too.
Yeah, throw Pearce in there. I think
in the comp.
there could have been 6 different combinations that they probably could have had there that probably would have scared me more than Cleary and Walker in there. I understand that Cleary has a clear edge in goal kicking because obviously what Ponga's going to be kicking for Queensland, who's average at best, and Cleary's the best in the biz. But that's really the one huge edge that I see for New South Wales. And you're right, Cody Walker's been tearing it up, but that's in regular NRL. Like we said, State of Origin is a different beast. There's not going to be gaping holes everywhere in defense. It's going to, defense is going to tighten up. You're going to have to make fit tackle options from the 40, from the 30, instead of from the 20 and the 10, which is going to be trickier for him to, hit those gaps and stuff like that. And to be honest with you, Cleary has not been playing fantastic football. I understand that they said, look, mate, if you have a good game, round 11, you're in. What about, like you said, rounds 1 to 10, average at best? And I know it's hard to look good when your team is playing like shit, but I don't think I've watched every Panthers game this season. I don't think Cleary's been setting the world alight, that's for sure. So I agree. I give the edge to the Queensland halves.
So do I, and I don't think Cleary will let them down, but I don't think he's the guy who he's a far cry from back when they used to.
And his confidence is shot,
Joey Johns, and a true star playmaker that can create out of nothing. Where I do see that in a Cameron Munster. That's why we give the edge. You spoke about DC's injury. Look, he was training even last week, so I feel confident about that. But if we move to the forwards, I've actually got more concerns on the Queensland side because they're saying, Arrow's tough as nails. He's got a tear in his knee, but he says he's right to play, and we trust if he says he's right. That worries me because I was looking at him as one of the most reliable forwards in the Queensland team. Maguire is off that calf injury. That's a concern. If we throw the hooker in with the forwards, then Ben Hunt playing 80 minutes. I think he showed in game 3 he can do a job, but he's never proven he can do it for 80. But I've spoken about whether they'd spell him with Maguire. It's definitely a concern. Have we seen the best of Matt Gillette since coming back from that neck injury? Papali has been really like what's a good word, like barraging. I'm thinking of a word that doesn't exist, but just a barreling prop that we need, in the middle for Queensland. But does he have the mobility when a guy like Damien Cook or Teddy or Cody Walker tests him out? The one forward who I have no concerns about for Queensland's Kaufusi. I just know from the Storm system, and he's played Queensland, Australia, never lets anybody down, and I actually think he could be one who breaks the game open with a try out on the edge. But we'll give out our try scorer and our man of the match tips tomorrow. New South Wales, they are weakened in the sense that no Jack de Belin, and he was really important for him last year. But you throw a guy like Jake Trbojevic to play 80 at 13, that's one hell of a replacement. He's as good as any forward in the game. The way that he hits, and Cordner and Frizzell, those back rowers and the runs that they can be damaging there. And the front row is very solid too with Vaughan and Clemmer. So again, I have to give a slight edge to the New South Wales forwards, but it's not a big one.
No, it's not a huge one. But once again, I think New South Wales just had a bigger talent depth pool, I guess, to choose from, especially in the forwards. We were kind of not crossing our fingers, but I guess, like Cordner has that concussion, he might be out for Origin. No, of course not. Frizzell comes back. He's an absolute beast. Of course he's in there as well. So, yeah, I agree with you. Certainly New South Wales at the moment has way more depth in the forwards, and they do have a better starting forward pack going into this one. And I agree. Like I said before, the one glaring difference is obviously goal kicking, but also at the hooker position. Because Damien Cook, once again, is having a great season, and we're throwing Ben Hunt in there, who I said that I wouldn't have had in my team, but it seemed like the obvious pick, and they have got him in there. And I guess, like you said, he's probably not going to play a full 80 minutes, and they'll probably spell him for, and Bile come in there or whatever. He's played hooker before. But, I certainly think that the New South Wales forward pack is better. But let's be real here. Forwards, I understand that if you have, a whole forward pack that's worth, so many points better, like a really good forward, we said, like Taumalola is maybe worth like 2 points. But honestly, the difference between the two forward packs, when you add it all up, when the halves we think Queensland are slightly better, the outside backs maybe is negligible, maybe you give a slight edge to New South Wales. I guess the whole betting aspect of it is the line at 2.5 for Queensland, and you'd probably say home field is worth 4 points at Suncorp. You're saying that New South Wales is 6.5 points better than Queensland, and I think if you add up every little player on the roster, including the bench, obviously, you're going to be hard stretched to make New South Wales anywhere near 6.5 points better than Queensland, and I think that's a big reason why the line has shifted down to nearly pick 'em now.
Yeah, and credit where credit's due, and that's why I do. I give the edge to the New South Wales outside backs, and I give the edge to New South Wales forwards. And where depth hurts you is where you get injuries. And Queensland got injuries at hooker and didn't have a lot of options to begin with, and that's where you end up with Hunt, not playing his primary position, and it's a bloody key spot. And Damien Cook was brilliant last year, big part of New South Wales winning. But you try and boil that all together, I feel like the halves matchup is as important as any because we know
100%.
the forwards will be pretty even if you do give a little edge to New South Wales. And if Queensland's got the edge there, yeah, bloody hard to make a case that New South Wales are a lot better than Queensland. I don't think they are. Anyone who thinks New South Wales definitely going to win tomorrow at Suncorp must think New South Wales are far better, and we've made a case why they're not.
And in Origin, like you said, I think the biggest part is obviously the halves. And like I said, you're not getting that many attacking opportunities. In a regular season NRL game, maybe you get within the 20, once every 3 or 4 sets, and you can put up an attacking kick and whatnot. It does not happen that often in Origin. What happens a lot is having to kick the ball out of your own half, make meters, and I think that I really do trust Cherry Evans more than Cleary to get that job done in terms of in-game kicking. I think that is vital in State of Origin. And one other factor we touched on but didn't mention, the NRL wants this shit to go 3 games. What's the best way that they can have this go 3 games? It is for Queensland to win Game 1 because New South Wales will be favoured in Game 2, even though it's over in Perth. So maybe with the crowd cheering every single call, I do believe that Queensland will get the bulk of the calls and will probably win the penalty count there at Suncorp, and that's got to count for something.
I agree with the home advantage, and I really talked about that last pod, but I'm not going to go all the way with you conspiracy, Alex. But you know what's funny? If Queensland wins tomorrow and looks like the better side and wins, are we even sure New South Wales will be that much of a favourite on a neutral venue in Perth when they have to scramble and maybe, second guess some of their choices? If Ponga and Monster have a night out, and I think it'll be close, but honestly, the line might be like 2 or less in Perth. This is if Queensland wins Game 1. And then how silly will it look that the bookies made Queensland a 2.5 point underdog at home, which is why
it already looks
going
silly
all the way
because
back.
It's pick 'em now.
Yeah, and that's why we grabbed it. We didn't really touch on the benches, but I feel like Mbai and Whiten cancel out from a utility point of view. And Whiten may have a little bit more impact. They both picked some impact young forwards in, your Payne Haas and your David Fafita. I like Big Puppy, the selection there, and he can come on and headhunt. Crichton, gets in there because of incumbency as much as anything else.
He hasn't been great this year, to be fair.
He can come in and spell Frizzell on the right edge when he gets tired trying to defend all the superstars we spoke about. I made the bench edge even, not sure about yourself.
Yeah, that sounds
happy with
right
that. So yeah,
that
just kind of builds into the forward battle. And goal kicking is bloody important now. Ponga's kicking over 80% this year, which is pretty lucky for Queensland because Queensland had nobody to kick goals if Ponga wasn't going to be able to. But definitely Cleary's the better kicker. Now, on one hand, there's less tries in Origin, so there's less conversions. But on the other hand, points penalties are so valuable. And yeah, there's more penalties. And then I guess if you get a penalty out wide, New South Wales is going to have more confidence. Correct. They can turn that into 2 than Queensland. So we can't disregard that. And we've built that into the fact of why you make a case that New South Wales are the slightly better team because, we talk about how goal kicking can't be disregarded. But the ultimate, edge there is that home advantage as well, which we've said a number of times, and it's real and the stats back it up. That's why I'm predicting not just Queensland covering all those markers that we showed before, plus half a try, plus 2.5, and plus 1 first half and all those. I'm predicting the outright win for Queensland, and we're going to have a few exotic plays tomorrow and post, first try score, which we've been really successful with, and man of the match and anything else that's valued. So you'll find that in our group and on our app. But I know you've got to run, but that's our breakdown of Origin 1.
Indeed, that's our breakdown. And sorry, guys, we didn't add any more best bets as of now. We had a quick squiz before the pod, but there were some bookies that still didn't have markets up and that kind of stuff. So we are going to do a full deep dive tomorrow morning. We'll post those up probably sometime around 10 or 11, along with our value plays, our first try scorers, man of the match, and we're also going to try and post, pretty much I've posted already in the app, every promo that's going around for the game, and if there are first try scorer or man of the match promos, we'll obviously give you our selections for that as well. Heaps of promos always around Origin time, and then me and Jacob are going to probably start drinking, and if you are at the game at Suncorp, feel free to say g'day. John Karen Diamond is going to come beat the shit out of us, unfortunately, Jacob. So come down and have a beer with us, John, if you see us there. But other than that, we will catch you guys. Have fun at Origin. Hopefully all your bets win. And we'll be back at 6 p.m. on Thursday to break down round 13 in the NRL. Anything else you want to add, Jacob?
Yes, we will. No, free tickets, so join our group and look out for those too.
Yes,
and yeah,
we'll
good luck for everyone tomorrow, especially good luck to the Maroons.
Indeed. See you guys.